Okay, folks, let's talk about Nigeria. This West African giant celebrated its independence from Britain in 1960. It was a moment of immense pride and joy, a new dawn for the people of Nigeria. The air was filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. Big hopes, bright futures. You know the drill, the economy, mostly agriculture. The land was fertile and the people were hardworking. Agriculture was the backbone of the economy, providing sustenance and employment for the majority of the population. Think peanuts, cocoa beans, the good stuff. These were the main exports, bringing in much-needed revenue. The markets were bustling with activity and there was a sense of community and shared purpose. Life wasn't always easy, but hey, at least they had their own land now. Families worked together on their farms, passing down knowledge and traditions from one generation to the next. There was a sense of pride in owning and working the land. Then came the 1970s and someone shouted, "Oil!" The discovery of oil was a game changer. It was like striking gold, but black and liquid. The news spread like wildfire and the excitement was palpable. "We've hit black gold, baby!" The oil industry took off and Nigeria was suddenly on the global map. The country was rich in oil reserves and the potential seemed limitless. Suddenly, Nigeria is a big deal in the global energy market. International companies flocked to Nigeria, eager to tap into the newfound wealth. Oil refineries sprang up and tankers transported the precious commodity across the seas. Money's pouring in, everyone's doing the oil money dance. The streets were alive with celebrations and there was a sense of prosperity in the air. People believed that this was the beginning of a new era of wealth and development. Politicians are making promises faster than you can say free lunch. They spoke of grand plans and ambitious projects promising to transform Nigeria into a modern, thriving nation. The future looked bright and the people were hopeful. This is it, right? Nigeria is about to become the next Dubai. The vision was clear. Skyscrapers, modern infrastructure, and a booming economy. The comparisons to Dubai were inevitable and the excitement was contagious. Hold your horses, folks. This is where the story takes a turn. The reality was more complicated than the promises. The oil wealth brought challenges and complexities that were not anticipated. Remember those politicians and their promises? The grand vision started to fade and the cracks began to show. The people who had placed their trust in their leaders started to feel disillusioned. Well, let's just say their pockets got deeper and the promises, well, they kind of evaporated like rainwater in the Sahara Desert. The wealth was not evenly distributed and many felt left behind. The dream of becoming the next Dubai seemed more distant than ever. So, oil. It's the lifeblood of modern economies, or so they say. For Nigeria, it was like winning the lottery, but without a lottery ticket. Problem was, nobody told them you got to be smart about spending your winnings. Infrastructure projects? Sure, let's build some fancy airports. Education and healthcare? Meh, we'll get to it later. Meanwhile, the good times kept rolling. Champagne wishes, caviar dreams, you name it. Except not everyone was invited to the party. Farmers, fishermen, small business owners. They got left holding the empty bag while the oil barons were off buying yachts they couldn't even sail. Here's where things get juicy, folks. Corruption, that sneaky little devil, crept in like termites in your foundation. Politicians started treating the national treasury like their personal piggy banks. Contracts were awarded based on who you knew, not what you knew. And the people? They were left wondering where all that oil money went. It's like this. Imagine you bake a giant cake, a delicious multi-layered masterpiece, but then a bunch of hungry raccoons break into your kitchen and make off with most of it, leaving you with a few crumbs. That's Nigerian corruption in a nutshell. Now, I'm not saying all Nigerian politicians are corrupt, but let's just say the ones who weren't must have been really, really good at hiding. We had military dictators who ruled with an iron fist and an even iron ear grip on the national coffers. Then came the democratically elected leaders, some of whom, shall we say, had a rather flexible interpretation of the term public service. You had your Sani Abachas, your Ibrahim Babangidas, your Olusegun Obasanjos, each leader with their own unique brand of economic wizardry. The problem was their magic tricks usually involved making billions of dollars disappear into thin air, never to be seen again. Section 5. Life in the economic trenches. How the average Nigerian copes. So, while the big shots were living it up, what about the average Nigerian? Well, imagine trying to build a house on a foundation of sand during an earthquake. That's what it felt like trying to run a business, get an education, or even just put food on the table. But here's the thing about Nigerians. They're resilient, they're resourceful, they're the kings and queens of making something out of nothing. The informal economy boomed with street vendors, tailors, and entrepreneurs hustling like their lives depended on it. Because, well, they kind of did. Section 6, the Naira's Wild Ride, a currency's struggle for stability. Let's not forget about the Naira, Nigeria's currency. It's a symbol of the nation's economic pulse, reflecting the highs and lows of its financial health. This poor guy's been on a roller coaster ride, and I'm not talking about the fun kind at amusement parks. The Naira's journey has been tumultuous, filled with unexpected drops and brief moments of stability. Devaluation, inflation, you name it. The Naira's seen it all. It's been a constant battle to maintain its value amidst economic pressures and global market forces. It's enough to make your head spin faster than a DJ's turntable. The unpredictability of the Naira's value can leave anyone feeling dizzy and disoriented. Imagine going to the market one day and a loaf of bread costs 100 Naira. You budget your expenses thinking you have it all figured out. Then you go back the next week and it's 150 Naira. The sudden price hike leaves you scrambling to adjust your finances. Suddenly your hard-earned money is buying you less and less. The value of your savings diminishes and everyday essentials become more expensive. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with a leaky bucket. No matter how much you pour in, it never seems to be enough. The struggle to keep up with rising costs and a fluctuating currency is a daily challenge for many Nigerians. Families gather around dinner tables, discussing how to stretch their Naira further, making tough choices about what to buy and what to forego. Meanwhile, policymakers and economists work tirelessly to stabilize the currency, implementing measures to curb inflation and boost the economy. Despite the challenges, there's a sense of resilience and hope. The Naira's struggle for stability is a testament to the enduring spirit of the Nigerian people, who continue to adapt and persevere in the face of economic adversity. Section 7, from bad to worse, when economic policies backfire. Now, to be fair, it wasn't all just corruption and mismanagement. Sometimes the government actually tried to fix things, but it was kind of like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Policies backfired, subsidies distorted the market, and the whole thing felt like one big, chaotic economic experiment gone wrong. Remember that time they tried to ban the import of rice to boost local production? Sounds good on paper, right? Except local farmers couldn't keep up with the demand. Prices skyrocketed and everyone ended up eating more pasta than an Italian grandma. Section 8, the resource curse. How oil wealth became a burden. Nigeria, a country rich in oil reserves, has experienced this phenomenon firsthand. So, what's the moral of the story? Why does having an abundance of a valuable resource like oil lead to more problems than solutions? Well, it turns out that having too much of a good thing, like oil, can actually be a curse. This paradox is known as the resource curse, and it has affected many countries around the world. It's called the resource curse, and it's a real thing. The term describes how countries with an abundance of natural resources, such as oil, often experience less economic growth and worse development outcomes than countries with fewer natural resources. Countries with an abundance of natural resources often end up with weak institutions, rampant corruption, and a lack of economic diversification. The wealth generated from these resources can lead to power struggles, mismanagement, and a focus on short-term gains rather than long-term stability. Think of it like this. You're a kid who inherits a giant candy store. At first, it's amazing. You have all the candy you could ever want, and it seems like a dream come true. You eat candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You indulge in every sweet treat you can get your hands on, and for a while it feels like paradise. But eventually you get sick, your teeth rot, and you realize that maybe a balanced diet wasn't such a bad idea after all. The initial excitement and abundance lead to negative consequences that you didn't foresee. Similarly, countries rich in resources like oil often face economic and social challenges that outweigh the initial benefits. The resource curse can lead to economic instability, social unrest, and environmental degradation. The focus on resource extraction can overshadow other important sectors, leading to a lack of diversification and resilience in the economy. To overcome the resource curse, countries need to invest in strong institutions, transparent governance, and diversified economies. By doing so, they can turn their natural resource wealth into a blessing rather than a burden. It's a challenging journey, but with the right strategies and commitment, it's possible to break free from the resource curse and create a prosperous and sustainable future for all. Section 9, a glimmer of hope, signs of resilience and entrepreneurship. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom, folks. Despite all the challenges, there's a spirit of resilience and entrepreneurship in Nigeria that's hard to ignore. From tech startups in Lagos to fashion designers in Abuja, Nigerians are finding creative ways to build a better future. Think of it like this: you plant a seed in dry, cracked earth. It seems hopeless, right? But then a little rain falls, the sun peeks through the clouds, and against all odds, that little seed sprouts, pushing its way up through the hard ground. That's the Nigerian spirit. Section 10, rebuilding and rebranding a brighter economic future for Nigeria. So can Nigeria fix its economy? It's a tough question, but I wouldn't bet against them. It's going to take a lot of hard work, transparency, and a commitment to good governance. But hey, if Nigerians can survive fuel shortages, power outages, and the occasional rogue goat on the highway, they can survive anything. The future of Nigeria's economy is still being written. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be talking about the Nigerian economic miracle, a story of resilience, innovation, and a whole lot of jollof rice. Now, that's a story I'd pay to see. Please like, share, and subscribe to see more video like this.